as courageous conservative voices during their college years and beyond. My name is Lauren Herzberg, and like Michelle mentioned, I'm the new kid at CBL. And I am the program assistant, which means I get to help out with all of the internships, our Day at the Range event, as well as the Luce campus lecture program. I myself was born and raised in the suburbs of DC and have always held fast to my own Christian conservative values that were wildly unpopular in my school and social circles throughout childhood. At a public university, my experiences were no different. I graduated with a degree in human development this past May from Virginia Tech, where I served in student ministry, elementary education, and worked for Virginia Tech in several capacities. It was during my time as a student and employee of the university that I realized the dire need for pro-freedom, pro-America, and pro-family values on campus. Now, as program assistant, I work with the CBL Center to encourage young women to stand strong in their beliefs, provide professional and personal development opportunities, and empower students to bring conservative values to their campuses. Our internship program not only features education in constitutional law, journalism, and our Second Amendment right, but interns are also trained in correspondence, public speaking, etiquette, and media presence. CBL is dedicated to helping young ladies become well-rounded and ready to pursue careers in academia, politics, and journalism, as well as marriage and motherhood. We are very excited to help guide the next generation of conservative women leaders. Now I'll go ahead and introduce our first speaker, Évangéline Faussié. Évangéline joined the CBL Center for Conservative Women in mid-May of this year as the organization's public relations officer. As a previous summer 2022 Luce intern, she already had a taste of the welcoming office culture and day-to-day activities. Évangéline graduated from Grand Valley State University this past April with a BA in advertising and public relations with an emphasis in PR. Prior to that, she graduated from Santa Rosa Junior College in 2019 with an AAT in communication studies. Her professional experience preceding the Luce Center included a mix of internships and full-time work in the PR industry and spanned several states. Despite being a communications professional, Évangéline has always had a passion for politics. She was the vice president of her university's Students for Liberty chapter and regularly volunteered for a variety of political campaigns and organizations. Her senior year of college culminated in a highly successful Luce-sponsored lecture where she hosted Riley Gaines. By then, she knew she wanted to combine her PR skills with her passion for conservatism. Évangéline is looking forward to growing in her position and contributing her assets to the Luce Center to aid in the professional development of young conservative women. So come on up, Évangéline, so again, or do you want to stay here, come up? You will come up.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Awesome.
Hello. So as Lauren said, I hosted Riley Gaines my senior year, which was an amazing experience and I learned so much from it. But it was also one of the most trying times of my life, and I don't say that lightly. It was extremely difficult. It tested my patience. I saw a side to people that I thought I knew that it was an ugly side. So I kind of want to go over a little bit about what I learned from the experience, but also what I faced to prepare you all for that in case it does happen. So when I decided that I wanted to host Riley, I did so because I felt like my campus was kind of apathetic to political issues, and I wanted to find something that people would actually care about. And the only the most impressing thing at the time I thought about was oh, my school is super pro-LGBTQ issues. Let's bring Riley in because I figured that at the time there were people who believed that this whole transgender, men posing as women, going into women's sports was somehow acceptable. So I was okay, let's discuss this. Did not really go over super well with everybody. I thought that this was going to be an event that maybe was going to be difficult to get people to attend because I thought there were many people at my school at the time actually who did not really know who Riley was. A lot has changed in the past 6 months. This was in April. Something that I faced when I was tabling was our school's Title IX office actually came down to our table, and they set up their own table, and they tried to intimidate us with that table. And they had a big sign over their table, and it said, Title IX protects trans students. So we had people walking by that obviously, like, they were taking our lit before we had these, like, quarter sheet leaflets that we were handing out about the lecture, and people were walking by taking them, and then once Title IX office comes down and sits down their table, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to take this anymore because this seems like hate speech, and they're scared. So that was one issue. Another issue was that people were tearing down the posters, not like a day later, but literally minutes after I put them up. I would put one up in the hallway, walk down the other hallway to put another one up, walk back, and it was gone. Or it had a big hole in the middle, because I was stapling around all the edges so that people couldn't tear them off, but people apparently like were fiends and were pulling them out from the middle, which is really hard to do, but somehow they managed. We had a giant 6-foot banner that we paid for that was hanging in the student center along with all these other banners for various organizations, Greek life, etc. Over the weekend, one of the weekends before Riley came, someone went in the dead of night, I'm assuming, and cut it down. It was zip-tied, and cut it down. No one knew about it until 2 days later when I'm back in the student center walking, to my next class, and I noticed that the banner is just, like, not there anymore. So I go to the student office thinking that maybe they took it down because people were complaining. No, they didn't take it down. Someone cut it down, and they printed me a new one, thankfully, but I did have to demand it. We had the student, we have a student event services team. I posted that we were hosting Riley, tagged them, school policy, they're supposed to repost it, and it's supposed to be up for 24 hours on their story. It was taken down within an hour and a half. Why was it taken down within an hour and a half? Because YDSA, Young Democratic Socialists of America, that club on our school, complained, and it was immediately removed because the girl in charge at the student office's student event center was scared and she didn't know how to react. And she had never been shown any sort of policy on how to deal with it, so she removed it, so I had to demand that it went back up. I had a meeting with the dean of students after I had been told by several of my club members that maybe we wanted to have some sort of security or police present for Riley. So I call, along with my boyfriend, because he was the president of a club and I was the vice president, we both make a joint call to campus police, and we say, hey, is there any way we can request a peace officer here just to make sure that, it runs smoothly? And he goes, okay, what's the event? Because I guess it's like a routine thing. What's the event, what time, what date? Give him all the info, and he goes, oh, is this the Riley Gaines lecture? I go, yeah, I didn't know they knew about it. And he goes, oh, we're already aware of that. And I was like, okay. And he says, well, we're actually having a meeting with the administration about it Thursday morning, which was the next day, at 9 a.m. And I was like, am I invited to this meeting? I have no idea that this meeting is happening. No, I can't give you any information about the meeting. That's just what I was told. And I said, okay, well, what if there's a problem? What if there's a heckler's veto? What if people try to shout down the speech? We're paying to bring her here. What if she can't give the speech? And he got irritated, and he goes, ma'am, we all took an oath to protect the First Amendment, so we're not going to prevent any speech. So basically saying that if there was a heckler's veto and people were trying to shout down Riley, they were not going to do anything about it, period. And there were actually there's so much more, but...
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, so much more for tomorrow with the activism how-to, but should we do the panel then?
JéAnais is going to come up and going to do her introduction.
All right.
Yes, Évangéline will talk a lot more about her experience in a very humorous way tomorrow. So our next speaker is JéAnais Mitchell. JéAnais is a senior at Clemson University, where she studies history and minoring in political and legal theory. She's the public relations chair for the Clemson College Republicans and is part of the outreach team for multiple conservative clubs on campus. She had the exceptional opportunity to be one of the Clare Boothe Luce Center's interns for the summer of 2023, so this past summer. JéAnais has been implementing the skills she acquired during her internship to participate in Fox News, Fox and Friends interviews, and to meet with her school administration, such as the vice president, to grow the conservative voice on her campus. JéAnais is from Bluffton, South Carolina, where her family of 12 still resides. Come on up, JéAnais.
Well, first, thank you so much to everyone for being here and for the opportunity to get to speak. It's been exceptional. There's nothing like being around like-minded conservative women. If you don't know already, that is one of the biggest gifts ever. So I wanted to just kind of start and go through why I'm even here and kind of how that all started. So I came in college 2020 because of COVID. Everything shut down. No events, no nothing, everything online. And so it was sophomore year going into junior year that people started having events. We started opening up, actually getting out of your dorm. And that was the year that the Clemson had a drag show. They had a school-sponsored drag show, and it went out to everyone's Clemson University email, so everyone was invited. And so it was a conservative club on campus, college Republicans and a few others that joined up and said, hey, we don't agree with this, and I don't want you to use my money to have a drag show. And so at the time, I was working as a resident assistant in the dorms. I don't know if you guys have resident assistants, but we love y'all. We do it because we take care of y'all. We don't. It's and so I was helping out in the dorms, and because of this kind of push against this drag show, they decided to start implementing using pronouns. We had a whole training. We had like gender fluid, neutral words that you use, and like how to be as caring and kind as you possibly can. And so as soon as this hit our training, I was blown away. I was like, what is going on? This is not what I expected, to finally be in school, finally get to, have the college experience. And so I was pretty hard pressed, and at one point I talked to my supervisor and I was like, look, I don't think I can do this. And she was like, well, then I don't think you're fit for this role. And I ended up having 1 or 2 meetings with our housing director and then like the Clemson entire housing auxiliary director. And finally they said that I'm not someone that they want in this position. And I lost my job. For the next year, they said, look, it's not personal. We need someone that's more accepting. We need someone that doesn't create a hostile environment. And that was their quotation. So that was it. And I had been working through school, saved up. Like I really figured I wasn't going to go to school for my senior year. And so that was like it. I remember talking to my parents and kind of like trying to figure out online situation to do. And then it was Center for Conservative Women were having a gun range day, and I had been to one or two of the clubs, Young Women for America, that had been doing events together, conservative clubs, and I was like, you know what, why not? This will be nice. This will be fine. And so I signed up. We got to go. It was at a local gun range where everyone who worked there used to be in law enforcement, so they really cared about people, and they took time out of their own day to tell us about Second Amendment. And it was just these group of girls, and we were all talking about, kind of this leftist bias on campus, kind of how we've been kind of pushed around, and it was a moment I remember distinctly. It was finally seeing that like I believe something and how to put it into practice. Like enough just listening, saying, okay, that's just how it is. But I remember going in that training, being with other like-minded conservative women, and we were putting into practice what we proclaimed that we believed. And I talked to them, and we ended up kind of as a group, figuring out a plan. And one of them knew a few people in the administration. I reached out to vice president and a few others in Clemson's faculty, and honestly, I got my job that I was fired from. They're like, that's not okay. They offered me a position like 2 months before the end of the spring semester, and it was just unbelievable. And so I don't want to go too long, but just want to say that that's how I heard about Center for Conservative Women, going to the gun range, and then had an entire summer internship, which was amazing. There's no way I would have done Fox News. There's no way that I would have been a part of the conservative clubs on campus, because it was just Friday. We had the YDSA have a march and petition to get conservative clubs kicked off campus, because we recently removed all the feminine products from male restrooms that they had placed in there, which doesn't make any sense. But they said that there needs to be retribution to conservatives on campus. They had a petition, they had a march, they had all these tables, and they were, I mean, they wrote that they want to see something done to us, and we need to be reprimanded. And I would say, if it wasn't for Center for Conservative Women, if I was the person I was this time last year, like, that would have crushed me. But it's like, you're not standing alone, and there's so many who have gone before you, who have just paved the way, who are there, who want you to keep fighting. So thank you so much for letting me share.
Thank you so much, JéAnais. It's really inspiring to hear. You risked a lot. You risked your education for this, so that's very inspiring. At this point, we're going to open up the floor for any questions you might have for our panelists. I think we have a few minutes, 2 questions, so feel free to I think the mics might be gone, so just shout it out. Maybe it's back. Yep, it's coming back. So back there, the usual spot. There's the mic.
So it's good to hear how you guys go about advocating for conservatism on campus in form of action. And I really struggle when we bring a speaker to get people to care, because I'm completely dependent upon more blue clubs on campus to protest us. So how would you advise getting the message out?
Okay, so yeah, I could probably answer this pretty well. I faced the same exact issue, actually, especially with YDSA. I know that JéAnais just said that she had problems with YDSA on her campus as well. They do like to try to throw a wrench in things. I attended a very, I would say, politically apathetic school, so getting the message out was the most important thing to me, because I wanted to make sure that people would attend. I was absolutely terrified the day of. I thought that nobody would attend. Turned out to be like the most successful political speaking event at my school since 2016. So it turned out to be extremely successful. And how I did it was by, no joke, no exaggeration, I was out until like 2 a.m. sometimes, like putting up flyers, because they kept getting taken down. And I really wanted to make the most out of the ad budget that we had, so I was printing out many things. I took full advantage of my school's, every club had a certain amount of money that you could put forward in a fund, basically, to get an ad package. So I made sure to get like the big 6-foot banner. I got as many of the colored and even the black and white prints of the posters, and we got little stickers. And I went out there and I put up as many as I could, and I even went into the dorms and I did that. And I was an RA, so I did have a little bit more access than the average person. I actually got in trouble for that, even though I didn't violate any rules at all. I was totally reprimanded by it. I was pulled into this meeting. It's another story for another day, tomorrow probably. But I did it anyway. That's the thing, is you have to go in and you have to advocate. You have to be your own advocate, because nobody else is really going to advocate for you. So social media is important to getting the message out, but it's not the most important thing. Posters and any sort of like physical media, little stickers, I would put them on YDSA's posters, because they decided to put up unapproved, unstamped posters up, try to cover up our posters or tear ours down. I got sick of it, so I took the Riley Gaines stickers and I just put them all over their posters. I don't care. They're not going to follow the rules, so I'm not going to follow, I was following the rules, actually. I didn't break any rules, so you have to go out there and do your best. Like when they tore down my 6-foot banner, they cut it down, whatever, I marched into that office and I said, "Where is the banner?" And they knew that it was provocative event. But they said, well, we never took down the banner. Someone must have come in over the weekend and done it. And I said, okay, well, you need to fix it. Like, something has to be done. I'm like, I paid for this banner. It needs to be up for the full duration. So they printed out a new one, and I didn't even have to pay for it. So you have to go in and you have to demand things, and you have to go out there and you actually need to, like, advertise to the most of your ability, and sometimes it will take extra effort, but that's just what needs to be done.
I think we have time for one more question if anybody has one.
I was just wondering, when you went home and you told your parents, what did they say about all this? Did they ever tell you, I'm going to pull you out of school, I'm not giving them a check, anything like that?
No, I mean, I don't think they were surprised by it. To be completely honest, I think they expected to. I don't know. It's not like I went to, I went to school in Michigan, but I didn't go to U of M. I feel like that would have been so much worse, perhaps. But no, they basically were supportive of me and everything. They knew what needed to be done, and they knew that I was out there, and that entire week I was really out there hammering hard at the advertising and doing what needed to be done. So I would say that they were really supportive of it. But I did get in a lot of, like, trouble. But I just say, like, cause good trouble. Do it.
Okay, well, thank you very much to Évangéline and JéAnais. Maybe let's give them a round of applause. They definitely are prime examples of being courageously conservative on campus. And Évangéline and I will talk a little bit more about that at our student activism seminar tomorrow afternoon. But that's the end of our programming for this afternoon. So at this point, there's going to be about an hour-long break for you all to go back to your hotel, continue your conversations, and get changed for the reception, which will be beginning here at 5. But it is really important that you continue any conversation outside the doors or back at your hotel, because they do have to flip this whole room for dinner. So we don't want to kick you out, but we got to kick you out. Thank you.